Okay. All right. Hanukkah. Just a few ha'aras on the issue of kafta zakukla, kafta Eino zakukla. Just a few studying to be mistopic in, and vidach pirusha zil gemor. You'll take these chakiras and you'll plug them into, and you'll see where you could medak. You see where you could, resolve. So Ravuna holds, kafta zakukla. Now we don't pass like Ravuna, so most samurai, as the Rishonim say, most samurai don't hold that way. But very quickly, just on the tzad that kafta zakukla. So I want to ask the following question, right? Is it the pshat that if you hold kafta zakukla, so he's not yotze his mitzvah at all, right? That so igloi milsa. So let's say the Hanukkah candle goes out and he won't relight it. He won't, right? Does that mean that lemafreya he wasn't yotze and his bracha was a bracha of vatala, or is it a separate din? It's like a different din. His ma'isa is good, right? But there's another halacha. There's an additional halacha, right? That a ner Chanukah, the chefetz of a ner Chanukah should be burning for a whole half an hour, but his mitzvah he did. Right? That is the question I want to posit. So when glancing at the sugya, so Rashi on the word zokuk lo, right? The takna, he has to fix it. So therefore, according to Mandan, of course, they would legislate against all the not good oils. That should be for sure good, right? Because Dilma Posha velo mitakin la. What do I say? Because he might be negligent and he won't fix it. Right, there's two diukim to make over here. What negligent? Right? Let's say he will never find out. So not negligent. He'll never find out. Right? He'll light. He'll go off, and he'll go and never find out. What's it? Pasha? Right? He might be negligent. Right? Pasha. And what if he's nas? Right? He has all the best intentions, and he just didn't get around to it. Right? Or shachach. Right? For that. So, but that's one thing to be in this error on. But another thing is like velo mitakin la, velo yadlik, and he won't lie. So from these two diukim over here, it's masha very strongly from Rashi, right? That this that Rav Huna holds kafta zakukla, which is not the way we pass it, but it's not the pshat that has anything to do that lemafreya his lighting is puzzle. Right? The head you're not, right? It's a separate din. It's a separate din that the cheftza of ner Chanukah, the cheftza of Persume Nisa, call it, right, should be out there for a half an hour. Right? It's a separate din, right? So now and enochanami. So if he's unaware, he's not a pisheya. He's unaware. His mitzvah of ner Chanukah, he was yotzei ganzen, right? It's a separate halacha, and we're worried that separate halacha will not be upheld. Right? So in Kenim Advarim, it seems to be also mafurish in the Ramban. Right? Tosfos asked the following question, which is about all the Rishonim ask, because it's a question in Pashup Pshat, right? That we say that that you cannot light, according to Rav Chisda. You cannot light, with these, deficient oils that are not the best. I mean, they could last, but you can't light with them on Shabbos. You could light with them b'chol, but not b'Shabbos, right? Because kasover, right? Excuse me, I'm sorry, I mixed that up, right? So that's what. So let's go back. Yeah, that's what Chizal holds. You can light with them b'chol, but not b'Shabbos, because he holds mutar lishtamish laora, right? So now fine, bishlama, right? But Rav Huna, that holds kafta. So what does the Gemara say, right? Because he holds kafta, that sorry, forgive me, saying madim chol b'shas. Okay, kasafta kafta ein zakul mutar lishtamish. Meaning, of course, okay, so you can light them during the week because he can. He doesn't have to relight, but on Shabbos there's another problem. So however long it'll light, since they don't burn well, right, he might fix the candle if he's also, he holds mutar lishtamish l'oira. So now the earlier than that, the Gemara said that Rav Huna also holds ben b'chol ben b'Shabbos. My time it's Rav Huna kasavar kafta zakuk la umutar lishtamish l'oira. So the Rishonim are bothered. How do you know Rav Huna holds that mutar lishtamish l'oira? Maybe the reason of kafta zakuk la is reason enough because on Shabbos you can't rely. It's just like it's reason enough not to light during the week. It's not, it's reason enough, right, to not be able to light with it on Shabbos and be kal v'chomer, right, because you can't. You won't be yotze your mitzvah at all. So what I was referring to was in the back of my mind. I brought in Rav Chizitz because many, the Ramban and others say, right, that perhaps the reason why we assume Rav Huna also holds mutar lishtamish l'oira is just to minimize the machlokes between him and Rav Chizitz, and that's what bothered me in the back of my mind, right? But Tosfos' kasha is, like we said, that's what others come on to, the Ramban, as we will see in a second, right? That we'll assume that Rav Huna also holds just to minimize the machlokes between him and Rav Chizitz. That's the only reason, right? But let's go back to the kasha we meant to ask, right? That according to Rav Huna, right? So we say ben b'chol ben b'Shabbos. And we say that kasavar kafta zakla umutar lishtamish. Why mutar lishtamish l'oira? Kafta zakla is reason enough, right? So Tosfos does not go like the Ramban that we just spoke out. That we want to minimize the machlokas. Tosfos says, listen, it's mukhrach just from the lashon, the way the halacha was framed. Bein b'chol, bein b'Shabbos. Why you put an extra stress on Shabbos also? Ein madlikin bein. Period. Mashma that there was just from the mashmos of how the halacha was coined. It seems that there's another reason for Shabbos, an additional reason, right? That's Tosfos, right? So the Ramban, doesn't see that that's a problem, and the Ramban says like this: Shaz mandam kafta zakla dino shavel l'chol. Lemandar kafta ein zakuk la. Shem shachol mutar b'sham lo v'im kavod ein zakaf b'Shabbos kain l'divrei hakol. Vein machzil lahadim tzil shvanim acherim sheshabbos the divrei hakol kafta ein zakuk la ve'elcha ba'el mitzvahs hadlaka bilvad. So what does the Ramban say? The Ramban says, no. If not for the fact that you must hold that Rav Huna must hold mutar lishtamish l'oira, he would have allowed you to light with these deficient oils on Shabbos, because on Shabbos everyone would admit kafta eino zakuk la. You have the mitzvah hadlaka. Why is that legit? Right? On Shabbos it's different. Right? On Shabbos, so that's why we have to come on to the fact that he must hold mutar lishtamish l'oira. Right, alternatively, what he comes on to, what I meant to say, the Ramban says this idea to minimize all between him and Rav Chizar. That's what he wants to say according to the Rif. But the Ramban himself holds that if not for that on Shabbos, if not for the fact that mutar lishtamish l'oira, Rav Huna holds kafta zakuk la would let you write with these deficient oils on Shabbos, right? And even though you can't relight it, that's dafka pram b'chol. Because elcha mitzvah hadlaka bilvad. Al korchach, to make sense out of what the Ramban is saying, we have to say like what Rashi says, like what we're medayik from Rashi, right? That really the din of kafta zakla is a whole separate din. It's not part of your mitzvah of hadlakas ner Chanukah. There's a separate din out the cheftza of the Pirsumei Nisa that it should actually burn b'poyal and last for 30 whole minutes. Right, it's a separate din. It's not. And if it goes out and you don't relight, you're still yotze your mitzvah of hadlakas ner Chanukah. You don't have this separate din of that the cheftza of Pirsumei Nisa should last for 30 minutes. So b'chol where you could fix, you have the schiyah, and on the Shabbos where you can't fix, you don't have the schiyah. Right, so it goes out from Rashi and the Ramban, the klor, the way the Ramban himself holds. Right, that that kafta zakuk la, according to Manor holds it, we don't pass it away. It's a separate din. It's not, and if you taka do not relight, it does not passel your original hadlaka, right? And that's dafka.
The other pshat, that Rashi and the what way that the pshat in the one sheet comes when you bring proofs that it must be separate.
Right. That's the way Rashi words, the way Ramban says it. So like the feet Tosfos. That Tosfos is bothered, and that the reader kafta zakla is good enough reason to not light with it on Shabbos either. Certainly not, because you can't fix. So dvarim kal v'chomer. If b'chol, where you can fix, you're not allowed to light with these different oils. Kal v'chomer b'Shabbos. The mashmos would be that they could hold plausibly. It's hard to know because it's not the halacha, so they didn't work it over too much, right? But it is plausible to think that according to them, it's like the other side of the chakira, that l'mafreya, you're not yotze your Hanukkah licht at all. And according to them, we don't have a pirush of Tosas on the word zakukla per se. He probably wouldn't touch it dilma pasha, right? What do you mean dilma pasha? Right? You have to make sure it burns. That's Rashi, who's in the same headset as the Ramban, that the din of kafta zakukla, if you would paskin that way, is taka separate halacha. Okay, but that's not the main thing I wanted to talk about. So I want to talk about lididan. That we do paskin, kafta eino zakukla. So I want to posit the following chakira, right? Is it the pshat, right, that you already did your mitzvah? You already did your mitzvah. Your mitzvah is it's once you lit, your mitzvah's done. Just of course, that let's understand that the candle, to be a kosher candle to light, has to have enough shemen that it could burn. I lit a kosher candle, right? Whether it burns or not is not my problem. I did my mitzvah, and my mitzvah has happened, right? It's finished. Or it's not that the pshat that I was mekayim the mitzvah b'shlemus. It's a p'tur. It's a p'tur. Right? I get exempted. Chazal word matriach me, right, to go out and light again, especially if you light outside. Chazal word matriach. It's a p'tur. Right? So is it mamish that the whole mitzvah is mekayim? I got a discount, right? I got a tour. Right? So so how are we going to find the rayas? So it's a very interesting Chuvas Harajba that's brought by the Ran. Right? And it is Lagabe, this the following Shiloh. It says like this. Hold on. V'nishal Rabbeinu Arashba, im lachashilik ba l'takna v'kavosa b'shoygeg im chayev lachzor v'lahadlik v'mivorach param shenis. All right, so now the Rashba was asked the following question: You lit the ner Hanukkah, and now it wasn't burning. You want to improve the fire, want to make it nicer, so you go intending to extend the wick or something. You put it out yourself by accident. He stresses b'shogeg, right? And I want to be done on that in a second. So he stresses that this happened b'shogeg, right? So now do you have to relight it? And would you make a bracha on it if you relight it? V'heshiv, and the Rashba answered, Mistaber she'eino chayav ladlika, da'avile kikafta she'ein zakukla, da'hadlaka oisa mitzvah, v'kvar dlika. So the Rashba says something very interesting. So it's like kafta eino zakukla, right? But he adds another thing that you didn't have to add. And by the way, you'll tell you the Shulchan Aruch in Taf Reish Ayin Gimel was influenced by this Rashba, like where he brings the din of kafta eino zakukla, adds shtups in something which is seemingly irrelevant. It's nice, but it's irrelevant. That hadlaka osa mitzvah. So I don't know how far you got in the Gemara. We're not going to see these words hadlaka osa mitzvah for another blot or so. It's not related. So it's not related, right? Whether hadlaka osa mitzvah, hanacha osa mitzvah, there's no kafta eino zakukla, and I can understand the Rashba's din onto its own, right? That what's the difference if it went out because the oils weren't good or went out because you accidentally put it out, right? It's kafta eino zakukla, right? But he shtups in hadlaka osa mitzvah, right? Because the hadlaka osa mitzvah, he brings in that other din. Right, that hadlaka osa mitzvah, that the ikar kiyum mitzvah is when you light it. That's why you have to have all the oil in the candle already at the time of lighting, and it has to be outside already at the time of lighting, because that's the krugman where the mitzvah is done. So all the other criteria have to be in place, right? So he said you already did your mitzvah, right? So the Rashba is very, very clear, right? That the din by adding something that's similar to purpose, he's doubling down that. Kafta enu zakukla is the pshat. You're mekayim the mitzvah already. You're mekayim the mitzvah already, so you're not chayav to relight, right? And also, and kol shkein, you shouldn't make a bracha if you do, right? that's very clear in Rashba that he understands that. So even though the Gemara later on when it's done whether hadlakos a mitzvah, hanachos a mitzvah, So I saw some Rachronim ask this question. So wait, bring a raya from the fact you hold kafta eino zokuk that hadlakos a mitzvah. But that's not a kasha. Right? Because who dinami if hanacha also mitzvah, right? It makes no difference, right? So you're already meniach in their chanukah. It's episode that the Rashba is just touching up the halacha lefi the way we paskin lemaskana, right? But who dinami if you say hold hanacha also mitzvah, right? He was already meniach, right? But the other din of kafta also seems to be that's that your mitzvah's over, you're finished, you did it, right? That's the pshat. All right, so adayin yeshli stapik. Right, that the why the emphasis here b'shogeg? How about b'mezid? Now could be that's just that's the shah as it came to him. The guy did it by accident. He asked just kamaisa shahaya, right? What about b'mezid? Right, if I did my mitzvah, koshkin the way we're understanding, as he says, right? I did my mitzvah already. So what's wrong with this? Right. So now Bishlam, okay, let's break it down. Right. Of course, it was premeditated. I lit the candle amenas to put it out. So of course that's lo gora then hidlika b'fnei ruach, that when it never had a chance, right? Like so there's the what?
That's a natural thing. Here you could change your mind.
Yeah, I would have said it's gora tfei. Ruach may come, may not come. Right, I would say it's Gorat Fei. I would say it is what? Right. Yeah. Anyway, right. Right. No, I would say no. So the pashtus, like that, like the sort of the riyaz, which the post can bring down. That seems to be the final halacha. When something never has a chance, never. Like see, these deficient oils, they have a chance. They have a real chance that they'll last half an hour, but there's a good chance they won't. They may not. When it never has a chance, it has the same din as shemen pachos mikashir. That's his lashon. So if the ruach could do that, kavachomer guy who likes it in a premeditated way, he's not going to let it burn for half an hour. Right, but I'm not talking about that type of mazing. I'm talking about this, that he extinguished it on purpose because after he lit it, with good intentions to let it burn, right, he realized it just doesn't have enough oil for all the nights. So what's the problem? I'll put it out. Right, I'll put it out, and because I did my mitzvah already, and I have oil for the next night.
We're only talking about if it's less than a half an hour. If it's more than half an hour, we can put it out. Right?
Yes, of course. Okay, but very good. What Zucha is raising, so now it's vadai not mutter to do that. How do I know? It's a riff that I don't think anyone disagrees with. The riff says when you come on to inami l'shiura, right, that's how much it has to burn for, right? How much oil there has to be. So the riff says the boy kavala. If he wants, he can put it out. If he wants to put it out, mashma that you can't put it out beforehand, right? At a half an hour, you're allowed to extinguish it, right? And then that's. So it is very clear, right, that it's usher to do on purpose to extinguish, the mazid and abort it burning for a whole half an hour, So it's usher to do. So mistabra, if it's usher to do, and you did it, you would have to relight. Except I have a suffix over here. So that's the mashmos. It's dafka b'shogeg and b'mezid. You're supposed to wait on purpose. That is, on purpose. You're supposed to wait half an hour. My question is, whether it's because your mom is not yotzei the mitzvah or it's a knastik din. And I'm still what
with the bracha bracha.
Right. What was the? And chanami. So it's would it be that this is called like because you are mevatel the maisa that you did, right? So it's like you never really lit because I undid what I did. Or it would be a knastik din because it is clearly the wrong thing to do. But I think the lashon of poskim said the dafka spoke b'shogeg, mashma mazid you would be, right? But I still have a suffix where it would be a knastik din because it should burn. It's the right thing to do. Even if you hold kafta zakla, it's the right thing that should be. You're only allowed to lechatchila blow it out after a half an hour. Right, so is that midin knas or is that mamish that you were mafkia your original hadlaka? And I'll leave it to you guys who are really learning this. Okay, it's all off the cuff, right? I'm not. I'm learning something else now. right? But you guys be machri on this, but but Steve was supposed to dafka b'shogeg that they bring this right, but the case is b'shogeg, not b'mezid, right? Now you said there could also be another type of mezid, not just because I want to save oil. It could be another type of mezid. I realize it's a fire hazard. So I think, you know what, this wasn't safe what I did. Right, it's not going to go out. The problem is the whole house goes up on fire, not just the candles, right? So so it's again another type of mezid where it's not dafka premeditated, right? Same suffix, So the mashmos is clearly yes, zokuk law. The question would be midin knas, right? Or would be midin that your mamish mafkia, your original misa, and I leave that to you to resolve. So now another one that seems to be hold that way, very much lehedja, right, is the trumas hadeshin. Right, it's also discussed in Tafrei Shayin Gimel. So what going back to what we do on Shabbos. So now Shabbos, you're not going to light your Hanukkah candles on Shabbos, obviously, right? So you have to light before. So here's the question: what happens if you light them before and they go out, but it's not Shabbos yet? It's not Shabbos yet. So you made the bracha, Ladik Neshul Hanukkah, and it's not Shabbos yet. Right? And of course, we could subdivide where it's not Shabbos yet, and you were Makabel Shabbos versus not Makabel Shabbos, right? What you should do, right? So there's a Truma Sadeshin in Simon Kuf Beis. He was asked this Shiloh, and he's very adamant. It goes out even before Zman Shabbos, you're potter. And the Lashon is, and of course he invokes, Kafta, Eino, Zakuk, and he says like this. So you're going to make the bracha, right? You're going to say Lahadik Neshul Hanukkah, B'Shem U'Machos. Vavkav Dakati Leka Mitzvah, right? Even though it's not burning now, when it's a little bit dark outside, where there's a hecker, right? Because you lit Miba'od Yom, but it's safely not Shabbos. Our the if should be an acher chashiva hechsher mitzvah, since it is impossible to do any other way. It's called hechsher, but he qualifies the hechsher mitzvah. Doesn't mean like I don't know, like getting ready the day before making the wicks. We're talking about hechsher mitzvah, so we find by Kibud that the Gemara in Yevamos discusses your father wants to eat a fresh steak on Shabbos, right? Right, that's what he wants, right? And the Gemara is done whether, Gemara is like trying to figure out in Makor that Ase Dochel Ose, but also Ase is not Dochel Los Ase Shesh Bakares. So the Gemara, so we know you don't listen to your father and cook for him on Shabbos, right? Because it's Shabbos Ose Tishmaru. So the Gemara wants to know, was it talking about that, your father told you to do a Isser Skila, right? And therefore only because it says it's Shabbos Ose Tishmaru, not Mashma. Ase would be docha filu and los haseshesh bakars like Shabbos, like it would use actually bashali, right, shchotli. All right, so he wants to be medayik from that Gemara. According to some Rishonim, it's questions according to which Rishonim he's speaking, right? That the Gemara says, that over there it's hechsher mitzvah. So it sounds like he's going more like Rashi than the Tosas that he invokes, right? That even though your father, you're only going to be mekayim the mitzvah of kibud av when he eats it, right? And you did your Chilul Shabbos earlier, right, with the Shechita or the Bishul, right? It's still called Hechsher Mitzvah, i.e., in a different context of how we generally use the term. That this is meaning to say this is the only way to do the mitzvah. So it's as if you did the mitzvah, even though the kiyum is only going to happen later when he's got the steak in his stomach, right? It's still called that you did the mitzvah because you can't do the mitzvah any other way. And we might think that it's Docher Shabbos, if not for Es Shabbos Osai Tishmor. Okay? So he's invoking it in that sense, that since this is the only way to light Hanukkah candles on Shabbos, right, for the night that comes in on Shabbos, this is the only way to do it. So it says, since it's the only way, it's as if you're doing the mitzvah, even though the kiyum is later. Right, the kiyum is only as he's marach at the beginning of Tshuva. The kiyum is only when it's a little bit dark and there's a hecker. He invokes the Mordechai, right? That the kiyum mitzvah is only long after Shkia, long after like the way the Bali Atos passes, the way the Shulchan Aruch really passes himself Shkiasa. After Bein Hashmashas, right? The kiyum is dead, but since the only way to get there is by doing it now, it's called that you did the mitzvah. That's right. You make the bracha, right? And that's and that's the. And that's where he doubles down. There's the kach mevarchinale. That's how we can make a bracha lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, because it's called that you did the mitzvah already. Right? So I'll go upon him. So it's very clear that his the headspace of the Trumas Hadeshin is that even he takes it to another level. That that you've done the mitzvah already, and you've done the mitzvah already, even though it's not the zman of the mitzvah. Even though it's not the zman of the mitzvah, you've done the mitzvah already, which is a chiddush that there are those who argue with. Now, you don't have to argue on the Trumas Hadeshin, in a totally diametrical way that you negate everything he says, right? But his positive, the Taz raises the following question: why can't you say more simply you were mekayim the mitzvah, the mixas at the zman of the mitzvah, because maybe the shear for mishatishka chama is only b'yamos hachol. On Shabbos, Chazal never gave you that zman. That's the zman b'yamos hachol that you could light after Shkia, right? So it's Mishtir Chachama, right, which is, we say, Sof Shkia, second Shkia, right? But on Shabbos, that's not the Zman. That's the Zman being Mosachol. So the Taz raises this question, right? That you have to go to this big Chiddush that you're Makayim the mitzvah, even though the Zman HaMitzvah has not come, because since that's the only way to do it, so that's the mitzvah. And he's certain that that's, why can't you say that the Zman is like 1 minute before Shkia on Shabbos, and kafta Eino Zukuk, if it just made it over the line, over Shkia. So that's the question they have. Because Trumas Hadeshin is not machayev you to light if Shabbos hasn't come in. It's not machayev you to light. So it's, and he's not machayev you to light because he comes onto a super chiddush. You did your mitzvah already. It's not the zman of mitzvah yet, because since it's the only way to get it done on an Erev Shabbos, it has a din as if the mitzvah is mukuyah. But he's very certain about it, that he's taking what the Rajba said to a whole nother level.
Even
right?
The Taz is married also that the Zman hasn't come yet. You light him in before Shkia.
Right.
The Zman is only to Shkia, so the Taz is bumping you down a little further.
Yeah,
right?
but that's Mahmud. He's saying, right, okay. But and that's the so Trumas Hadeshin holds that way, the Rajba holds that way, so like as Rosh Kol pointed out, you don't have to go to the extreme of the Trumas Hadeshin, to hold of the din of the Rajba, right? Because maybe the Rajba also said that which you're Makayim mitzvah already is because you also had the Zman of the mitzvah, right? Right over here, you're missing the Zman if Shabbos hasn't come in, right? So it's not that if you hold like the Rajba, you have to hold like the Trumas Hadeshin. He cranks it up, he builds on it and takes it to another level. Because the Rajba may have said also we have the Zman of the mitzvah. But connected to everything that we said. Everything that is the Marshal in Simon Pehe. It's not a typical tshuva. It's really this tshuva is written. It's printed with the tshuvas, but it's really a Kitzer Hilchos Chanukah. So he doesn't really give all his rights like he does in a typical tshuva. It's printed with the tshuvas, but it's his own Kitzer Hilchos Chanukah. And he says like this. That which we say, kafta and zakah means there's no chiyuv. There's no chiyuv, right? Aval rotze liskos b'mitzvah shlema, right? If you want a whole mitzvah, yachzor v'yadik, you should be light again, right? The logara mina mahadrin, right? You're not less than the din of hamahadrin ner l'kol echad v'echad, mahadrin, mosif v'holech. Okay. They said the most problematic part of what we just read is that Eino raya dome lanido. There's an Indian, there's an Indian to light again because like the Mahadran. Well, I'm a different person. I'm the same person I was. I'm the same guy I was before. I didn't get a new identity because my candle went out, and now I'm like lighting another candle like I'm another person. Right, and it's not a new day. He didn't most of all. Ain't a right. What does he want? It's nit erger from the Mahadrin, right? So you're not chayev. It's not less than Mahadrin. That needs to be unpacked, right? That would really go again into a different subject, but we'll deal with it very quickly. But I want to read on. So he also said there is an Indian to light again, which the Rajba didn't say a person has to do, and but like that he argues on the Rajba in Gansen. So, but let's go step by step. Vim kavta be'erev Shabbos. Well, we just discussed it, Trumas Sedeshin. Tzarech lachzor v'lahadlik. The lo kamari, which is the Trumas Sedeshin. He argues on Trumas Sedeshin. Now I'll just say halach l'masa. We're not machriya in this machlokas. So if it does go out, tomorrow night, before Shabbos comes in, you do relight without a bracha, right? He says you're chayiv tzarech lachzor v'lahadlik lo kamari, right? And then he says, in Bolet Taka and Neros, right now, you come to fix counts, the Rajbas Shaila. Vikava, Nira de Tzarech Lachzor Vilahadlik, Afilu im Kava B'Shoige. He argues on the Rajba, right? He argues on the Rajba, so he argues on everything that we learned so far, right? So if it goes out on Erev Shabbos before Shabbos comes in, you're chayiv to be madlik again, right? And if you put it out yourself, even b'shogeg, right? Chayiv ladlik, right? So let's take the last one first, right? Which is, seemingly the biggest pella. Well, why? Kafta Eino Zokuk. He put it out. It was an accent. So he said, Bishop B'Meizu were medayik, that he has to be yachzer madlik. The question is whether he was not yotze, or it's a knastik adin, or he's not mamish not yotze because he did it on purpose. All right, it's a suffix, right? I'm waiting for you guys who are really learning the sugya to clear, right? Be machriya that, right? But b'shogeg, why is it? Kafta Eino Zokuk, right? So and then we go back to the first thing that he says. Ha de kafta zakla ein zakukla hainu lechiyuv. Which says you're not chayiv. I mean, it's a ptur. It's not a kiyum mitzvah. It's a ptur. You are no longer chayiv. You have been exempted. Meaning, the tzuras ha-mitzvah is really to light a candle that lasts for a half an hour. When Chazal legislated Neros Chanukah in the law book, it says, light a candle that will burn half an hour. That is the tzuras ha-mitzvah, the tzuras ha-mitzvah, right? Now, if it didn't reach a half an hour, but it had the potential to do so, because, it's a reasonable amount of oil, and the oil's, stood a chance, right? So, since it burnt a little bit, so you're not chayiv to relight. I mean, you get a discount, but the etzem, you got a discount. But the etzem tzuras ha-mitzvah is that the candle should burn a whole half an hour. If it goes out, and you're not chayiv to relight. So it's not that you did a mitzvah shlema. You didn't do a mitzvah shlema. You did not do a mitzvah, and that's awesome, right? Aval wrote said, liskos, the mitzvah shlema, yachzor v'yadlik, right? Yachzor v'yadlik, right? You want to get down to the whole mitzvah, right? So you didn't do the mitzvah b'shlemus. You did not. You got an exemption. You got an exemption from relighting, right? So now it's very good. It's a discount. It's a ptur. It's not that you were mekayim mitzvah. You weren't. You got a discount. So that's a chiddush, right? En l'chabo el chidusho. Chazal only gave you that discount if the chisaron was the candle didn't make it. But by human intervention, you didn't get that discount. Because it's not a din that you're mekayim mitzvah. It's a ptur. And the ptur is only when it's a chisaron in the ner, right? There you got a ptur, right? But the tzuras ha-mitzvah is that you burn a whole half an hour, you got a ptur, and l'chabal chidusho. They gave you that ptur if it wasn't that the shmonim didn't make it, right? It's a ptur, right? But you still have, so if you want to be Yosef, what does he want from Mahadran? What does he want from Mahadran, right? So this really gets into another clear, what his raya is. But I'll tell you what he's addressing, right? He's addressing why is it kedai to be machbir? I'm exempt. I got lucky. Why should I relight at all? Why should I relight at all? I got lucky. Right? So that's what he's really coming to address, the din of the Mahadran. Now, with this, we're actually getting into the machlokas. It is not like, some people have erroneously said, even though some of them say that the Ramah paskins the Rambam. Ramah does not paskin the Rambam. Right, by Mahadran, min ha-Mahadran, that you do both hidur. That's ner l'kol echad ve'echad. Right, so and plus mostly that in the Rambam, right? He holds that it's only one menorah per house. So if you have 10 people house, first night you light 10 candles, second night 20, 30, and it's just one big menorah of 80 candles. If you have 10 people in a house, that's how you combine the two hidurim. Of course, there's no heker l'yamim, but that number is okay. So he paskins the other mind that it's connected man bakar shvei moridin, not connected yamim manichnas, yamim mayotzim, right? That's what they say. And they bring a raya from Shnei Kenim Shayu B'Tzidon that seems the final word on the topic, right? That finds the final that Zenotain Tal Keneged Parachag. That time Mam Kosh written that that the time of Keneged Yomim Hayotzim was Nidche, right? That's what they say. It's because it seems to be the final word in the Gemara. Okay, but that's a separate point, right? But the Ram holds one guy lights a huge menorah, with candles connected everyone, plus being Mosef V'Holech, right? We don't do that way. We combine two of them by everyone lights his own menorah, right? And each one is Mosef V'Holech. So there's a very fundamental machlokas between the Ramah and the Rambam. Right? The Ramah is not possibly the Rambam, right? He's just, just in a very loose sense. We do both Hidurim, not like the Tesh says, you're either doing Mahadrin or Mahadrin, you have to choose one or the other. So just in a very broad sense, he's kind of like the Rambam, but he's not the Rambam. It's like everyone's lighting their own menorah. Right? So there is a brisker rub on this, in Hilchos Chanukah, which I don't, Lama said there's a lot of kashas to ask on. He wants to make it totally the famous Machlokas Rambam in Tur, whether you have, whether the Hidur mitzvah has to be at the time of Kiyum mitzvah, or you could do the Hidur mitzvah even after the mitzvah, as per the machlokas of tzitzin she'ena ma'akvin esamila. So you did the mila on Shabbos. You can't go back if there are little pieces of flesh left that are not ma'akv the mila. So Ram holds you're done. That's how you're done. The Torah holds b'chol you go back. So his grandfather, Beis Halevi, already spoke about this, that they have a fundamental machlokas whether the Hidur mitzvah has to be together with the Kiyum mitzvah, or you could beautify the mitzvah even though you already did your mitzvah. You could beautify the mitzvah later, and he wants to make it totally done. There's a lot to ask on that. Many of the later Rosh Yeshiva were docha that. I won't even get into now why this is, right? But Ayin Sham, I'm only mentioning because I'm going to deal with something that he brings up, right? But the real question, of this din of ner ishu beso. One candle is good enough for the whole household. What's the pshat in that din? What's the pshat in that din? Is that the pshat, right? That Chazal say it's a din that it's one candle per family. And by the way, the lashon of bias is used because according to many Rishonim, homeless people don't have to light. You need a house. That's some Rishonim hold. That's so Birkas Orosh just for a guy who doesn't have a house. Homeless don't light. I once asked a shah whether people who live in the subway have to light because they have a roof over their head. It's not called they have a house, right? That's another thing. You'll be pushing that for me, right? But there's a lot of Rishonim that hold that. Reason why they use the term bias and not mishpacha is because you need to have a house. It's like mezuzah. Right? You've dealt with that a little bit, right? Right. So the lashon of Rashi, rather the Rambam in Hilchos Chanukah, as I recall, check me on this, that the mitzvah called bias v'bias nerachad. Every house has to have one candle. So a house, of course, not just the structure, but it means the family that lives in the house. It's one. The Iker mitzvah was just one candle per family. One candle per family. And if that's the pshat, then the din of Mahadrin and Mahadrin min Mahadrin, right, would be mamish the din of Hidur mitzvah, And this is the sheet of Rabbi, this is the Rabbeinu Hanano that the Brisker Rav goes on about, because the Rabbeinu Hanano both here and also in Baba Kama talks about that he calls, you see, from the din of Mahadrin, that which you say Hidur mitzvah ad shlish, just means only chayiv ad shlish, but you're allowed to give more than shlish. Because if it's a Hidur mitzvah to light more than one candle, that's a lot more than shlish. That's not a third more. That's 100% more. So he brings. That's and that's what the Brisker Rav bases. That the whole thing of Mahadrin is all the Hidur mitzvah. Just watch Lo Daito. That's Rabbeinu Hanano, and it could be that the Rambam goes like Rabbeinu Hanano because by Rambam that's the way it will come out. Because the whole Iker din is one per family. Mamish. The chiyuv is on the family. Right, and then so it's all Hidur mitzvah. Do more candles than that. It's pure Hidur mitzvah, and maybe Rabbi Hanano holds like the Ram, but that's not the lashon of Rashi. Lashon of Rashi on ner ishu beis. Which guys do that tomorrow yet? I know it's mamish the next sugya. Right.
That's the first thing we did.
Right. So the lashon of Rashi is sagi luhu, and there it's enough. It's enough, meaning the chiyuv was on really minadin. Everyone should really be lighting. Everyone should be lighting his own. Another I heard from Zalman Nechemia Goldberg, the Chrono of Bracha, that this Rashi holds the way is by you get ner shesh lashtei pius also shnei bnei adam. So Tosfos learns that's at the Pesach HaChatzer. Two people have the same Chatzer, so they both light the same place. So two families are lighting out of one menorah, one wick comes out. This Rashi says la mahadrin, right? Sha'osin ner l'kol echad ve'echad. La mahadrin, right? Shnei bnei mamish, two people lit. But the Ikar Diak is from the Lashon Rashi by Ner Ishu Beito Sagilu B'Ner Echad. The pshat is that the pshat is that that really the Ikar Chiyuv would have been everyone should light their own candle, but Chazal gave you a discount, one candle for all, but it's a ptur, it's a discount, and that's what And the Marshal says, the Marshal invokes in this tshuva the minhag of the Ramah, said that we do both Hidurim, presumably the way that's in Poland where they all live. That's the way they did it, right? Right. So it comes like this, and that's a shot in the Ramah. The Ramah holds that really there's a chiyuv on. He holds like Rashi, right? The chiyuv really is on each and every individual. Just you get a discount. There's a family discount, right? Was there a family discount on Sunday because I didn't pay? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, right. It's a family discount, but it's a din discount, right? But you should. But you see that mahadrin, don't just rely. That's what the Marshal wants. So he comes there that when you get a discount in Hilchos Chanukah, a discount is not mafkir the ganze mitzvah. So just like by mahadrin, you get a discount, and you could be yotze with one candle, but you should still be my one should like their own. That's why I'm telling you also. You got a discount. The Ikar Tzuras HaMitzvah, just like over there, the Ikar Tzuras HaMitzvah, everyone should like their own, but you got a discount, and it's one per family. So you see, discounts are not mafkir the whole Tzuras HaMitzvah. The mitzvah's still there. So go grab it. Get a mitzvah shlema. So also here, you got a discount of kafta, Eino, Zokuk, when it's just there. Chazal only gave you that discount once. You saw it in the Shemin, but not, they do it by human intervention, right? Right, so over there, that's what it says. So now, it'd be like the Mahadrin that even when you have a ptur, right, you still go back to the Ikar Tzuras HaMitzvah. The Ikar Tzuras HaMitzvah should burn a whole half an hour, just like the Ikar Tzuras HaMitzvah. Everyone should light their own candle. You get a ptur, right? You see from Mahadrin, you don't rely on. There's not to rely on the ptur and to get the mitzvah shlema. So now the suffix that I have legabe this Marshal, just one question I want to ask, right? Is it's talking about that if you yourself put out your Hanukkah candles, by accident, right? So you still have to relight. What if someone else did, according to the Marshal? What if someone else did? Is it the pshat in the Marshal? You only got the schism when it's a din in the Shem, which is the most seichel din thing, but maybe it just means anytime you didn't screw up yourself, right? And undo what you did. I have that suffix. The Marshal will address the issue if someone else puts it out. Right? Whether that would be a nekuda of chiluk or not, or it's not. Dafka when you put out because you undid what you did, so you don't get the ptur, or it's just a chiddush when the shemen is deficient. All right, I have one more going back to the Trumas Hadeshin. The Trumas Hadeshin put a lot of emphasis on the fact that midavar chinan, like it has to be that there's epis akiyum mitzvah right now, right? When you lit before Shabbos came in, even though it went out before it got dark in any way, shape, or form, it must be. We say that's a lot of because we make a bracha. It can't be, right? It can't be that So it is very clear, so now we have this shaila, a parallel shaila by Sfiras HaOmer, like those that I'm ending soon. Then you can have the donuts. Eat the donuts. This year, next year, RFK Jr. is banning them all. Right? Right, so this administration, you can keep your AR-15, but they're coming for your donuts. Right? Yeah. Right. So anyway, let's get there in a second. Right. He puts a lot. So like by Sfiras HaOmer, so we have machlokas rishonim whether you need all the 49 days. Like if you miss a day. Did you lose the mitzvah? You need tamimus or not? So machlokas rishonim. So the early rishonim were themselves the time that they when arguing with each other say that is every night its own mitzvah or it's one big mitzvah. And of course, that's why you need three. It's one big mitzvah. So the Shibbolei Aleket, in some of the scholars asked on those, so it's got to be every night's its own mitzvah. So I'm going to count that night. It's its own mitzvah. Because if it's all one big mitzvah, you should only make one bracha at the beginning. Because it's all connected, right? Right? Why do you make a mitzvah, a bracha every single night? Right? Now, who didn't nami? One should have asked. One I would think that was his kasha. I would think who didn't nami could have asked the other way, right? Like this, or alternatively, you only make a bracha on the last night because that's where you're going to be makayim the mitzvah. Until then, you're not makayim the mitzvah, right? So the brisker Rav, on this, so I mean, it's clear that the Shibbolei Aleket holds you can only make a birkas mitzvah if there's a kiyum hamitzvah, not bracha now, and the kiyum is later, days later, 49 days later. So I think who denominator could have also asked it the other way. Should only make a bracha on the last night, either the first night or the last night, right? But why make a bracha every single night? So now the brisker Rav is more, and it's clear from some Rishonim, right, that you have to, that the birkas mitzvah is lav davka on the kiyum mitzvah. It's on the maisa mitzvah. If this is the maisa to do, even though the kiyum is not, but this is your act, because you have to be over lasiyasim. Chazal only matakin the bracha on what you do, not on what you don't do. So if this is what you do, that's where the mitzvah is. That's where the bracha, I mean to say, is. It's where the bracha is, right? That even though the kiyum mitzvah may not come for a while, but as I said, it's clear that there's a machlokas rishonim, right? So now, now that which we say, like the others, that that it's all one long mitzvah, the 49 days of the Yomer. Right? That's why you need tmimus, right? That which you make a new bracha every night, so you can either say that they hold that the bracha is on the Maisa mitzvah, not on the Kiyuma mitzvah, which is what the brisker Rav says. I have another derech in that by the birkas mitzvah is nusach hasfira that Chazal metakin. They used to say shehayom yom echad lomer, all connected. It's like kiddush. It's a nusach. It's not a regular birkas mitzvah. That's right. Dok v'tishkach, right? But going back to Lididan, right? That the Trumas Hadesh is clearly in the headspace that the birkas hamitzvah is on the kiyum hamitzvah, right? Clearly, it's from that headspace, right? From the same headspace as the Shibbolei Aleket. And so it has to be if we're making now Miba'od Yom, it must be that there's episode kiyum, and that's why kafta even now before Shabbos comes in, right? Eino zukuk. Right. So now I just want to point out, just be more one thing that that which of course the Marshal would agree that you would make a birkas hamitzvah, a lot of Neshul Chanukah, if let's say you're late by plaga mincha, which you could do, right? Even though the kiyum mitzvah is not going to come much later, right? So it's you don't have to come on to what the Taz says necessarily that that Chazal were marchib the gvul of this month, and now it's also this month mitzvah. It just occurred to me there's another way out of this, of how I make lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, even though the kiyum mitzvah is not now at all; it's much later, and it's from a Nemukei Yosef, in Baba Kama, right? The Nemukei Yosef asked the following question: the sugya of isho mishum chitza. That means whatever your fire does is as if you did it. So an afkamina over there is that if I start a fire and it hurt a person, I'm chayiv b'dalet dvarim in addition to nezek. Also, it's like adam amaz isho mishum chitza, right? Your fire is you, right? So ask the Nemukei Yosef, how do we light Shabbos candles? How do we light Shabbos candles? Right? L'chal Shabbos, because your fire is you. Your fire is your candle, right? So he says the Yesod, which is very misunderstood. He says the Yesod that no, because it all happened at the time of the Adlaka. It all happened, right? Yeah, it's true that the fire that's burning on Shabbos, I did it now already. And he has another raya to that, very simple raya. Let's say you start a fire, right? And before it causes nezek, right? The guy is nifter. The guy who started the fire is nifter, right? So it has to be, of course, you're going to get it from his estate. So it has to be that it's all done already. It's all done already at the time of the Adlaka. It's all done already. Now there's a tzais, there are those that misunderstand this yesod to be as if it's already burnt, but that's clearly not the case. That's not. It just means, of course, it only burnt when it burnt. But ask when did it burn? The Chiddush is in the Zman. It burnt at the time that I started the fire. That's when it burned, right? So even though something is only burnt when it's burnt, it's not burnt before. It's burnt like some achorn I understand, because that's absurd. There's kama varais against that. That's already burnt. It's not. It just that you did the mice. It all happened already. Means that it's a chiddush when looking at what is the time of the offense. The time of the offense is when he started the fire. So of course, only burnt when it's burnt. But I'm going to ask, when was this offense committed? Right? When lemafreya it was committed. But of course, it only happened when it happened. It only happened. It only happened when it happened. Right? Right. There's a riot from Ritzicha, and a few other,
The friend understand that the person, someone else goes and burns let's say the house with the fire is heading towards the
Right.
Right. Sorry.
Right.
This not on the frame.
Right. Yeah. They want it. They want it. They have a. They struggle with that. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, it's much. That's sort of. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you want, we can talk about that story, but that's go knee deep into Baba Kama. But it just occurred to me like this, just a chap, right? That even if we hold, the zman of that the mitzvah did not start yet, the mitzvah, because the zman of the mitzvah is, in an hour from now, if I lit at Plaga Mincha, let's say, as an example, right? But when the mitzvah happens, when did I do the mitzvah? At the time that I lit. We're taking the Yisod of the Mukei Yosef and just reverse it. He said it as a heter to light Shabbos candles, that as they're burning on Shabbos, and that's when you're doing your mitzvah of having a light, Mishum Shalom bias, right? So when did I do that mitzvah? Right? I did that mitzvah on the clock at the time I did my adlaka. The time of this Maisa, that's the chish. The time of this Maisa is backdated. Of course, it only happens when it happens, but it's the mafreya backdated. So we use the Yisod of the Mukei Yosef also over here, right? So of course, the Kiyum mitzvah will only be right when Be'er Shabbos. But you're going to ask, when did I do this mitzvah? I did it mitzvah then, and since the effect is backdated to when I did my Maisa, of course I can make the bracha because my friend it's backdated to this moment, so I could make the bracha of Ladlik Ner Shel Chanukah. That's what I want to explain. So now eat some donuts. Don't let the schnapps gather dust, and then we'll farbrang. We'll give a mimer.
Yes.